How you doing, guys? My name is Ken Beda and welcome back to Combat Kenya. Last week, a new precedent was set when Congolese fighter Josiah Musasa was signed into the UFC via African Knockout, a Nigerian fight promotion where two Kenyan fighters have competed, setting up a pipeline for a Kenyan to get into the UFC. The question is, who is it going to be? We have many Kenyan mixed martial artists who have fought in international MMA promotions, but which of them is closer than the rest in getting into the UFC? We'll start with African Knockout Championships, the last promotion to enlist an African fighter. There are two Kenyan fighters who have fought in AKO, namely Andere Odiwo and Brian Seret, who both lost their last fights and only fights in the AKO championships. A quick review of both these Kenyan fights shows that our weakest link in Kenyan martial arts is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brian Seret is primarily a Muay Thai practitioner. I've not seen him participate in any local or international Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, which is essential for a mixed martial artist. You need some form of grappling arts to level your striking so that you can defend takedowns or attack when you're on the ground. And that is a skill set I'm not sure Brian Seret has. Same goes for Andere Odiwo. He stood toe-to-toe with the striking in his last AKO fight, but his opponent clearly had better grappling than him. Took him down several times and he was unable to counter the ground attacks, leading to a loss in the fight. So we don't really have the best representatives for Kenyan grappling in the African Knockout Championships. That means if we're looking for the first Kenyan to get into the UFC, we might have to look at other promotions that host Kenyan mixed martial artists. Which leads us to the EFC in South Africa, where Felista Mugo won her last fight in that promotion. A one-loss and one-win record in the EFC is not impressive enough to get a UFC placement. So who is the Kenyan fighter who has the most potential to get into the UFC? From their records, it doesn't look like it's any of the ones I've mentioned, being Andere Odiwo, Brian Seret, or Felista Mugo. If we look at other African promotions, we see one zone where two Kenyans that I'm aware of have competed in. Leslie Masiga and Peter Njuguna, who are both jiu-jitsu practitioners. They represented Kenya in one zone in Uganda when the promotion was still running a couple of years ago, with Leslie Masiga having a record of 0 wins and 1 loss, and Peter Njuguna having a record of 1 win and 1 loss. Again, not enough of a record to get any of them into the UFC. So where can we see a prospective fighter from Kenya that has the potential to get into the UFC? We'll have to look at promotions outside of Africa at this point, which takes us to Eternal MMA in Australia, where a Kenyan by the name of Percy No Mercy has had an impressive record since the beginning of his mixed martial arts career. Percy No Mercy, aka Percival Oumo Mwambi, is a Kenyan fighter fighting out of Australia who just got signed into one championship, arguably the biggest mixed martial arts promotion in the world, followed by the UFC. As much as one championship is the biggest fighting promotion in the world for mixed martial arts, it's still centered around Asia, supplying the majority of their audience. But I would say outside of Asia, the most known mixed martial arts promotion is the UFC. Percival's one championship record is 0 wins and 1 loss, although this puts him far ahead of the Kenyans who have fought in international mixed martial arts promotions, because he is in an international gym where he has access to international fighters of different kinds, different sizes, and different skill sets. And he has fought in bigger promotions compared to the other Kenyan fighters that I've mentioned, placing him as the lead candidate for the first Kenyan to get into the UFC. I'm pretty sure there are other Kenyans who have missed my radar, so if you are watching in the comments and you're aware of any Kenyan mixed martial artists that have fought in international promotions and are close to getting into the UFC, kindly let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think about this list of Kenyan mixed martial artists that, according to my opinion, have the closest chance of getting to the UFC. Also, if you'd like to support Combat Kenya, we're selling these custom jiu-jitsu t-shirts at affordable prices with new designs coming out every month. Get yours today at take.app/combatkenya. Delivery available countrywide.